Discover the incredible love that blossomed after she sat at the wrong table, a life-changing encounter. Sarah's heart raced as she hurried through the community center, the sounds of children laughing and the aroma of homemade pies swirling around her. Tonight was the annual fundraiser for local veterans, and everyone in town gathered, eager to help. She loved the warmth of this small community, but as she spotted the elegant table draped in white, she never imagined her life would take a turn when she plopped down, believing it was just another place to rest her tired feet. The hush that followed felt like a slap in the face. Conversations halted, and Sarah shifted in her seat, suddenly aware of the well-dressed patrons who eyed her with a mixture of surprise and disapproval. She fumbled for words as their judgmental gazes pierced through her like ice. She was just a waitress, sweaty, laughing at kids' antics just moments ago, now painted as an outsider. That first sting of inadequacy twisted in her gut, but deep down, Sarah had a choice. Looks like I got lost on my way to the pie booth. She laughed, summoning her brightest smile, igniting confused chuckles around her. That was the moment she realized kindness could flip the tides. Laughter began to ripple. Each shared joke felt like sunlight breaking through clouds, and the tension started to fade. Then came Mark, a local businessman with kind eyes who approached her table. His warm laugh filled the gaps left by the others' coldness. "You have a talent for breaking the ice," he said, leaning closer, his sincerity steadying her grounding heart. As they swapped stories about their roots, Sarah couldn't help but savor the sense of connection blossoming between them. Yet, as Mark's friends joined the table, their condescending murmurs became a reminder of the chasm between her humble life and their affluence. Their disdainful looks clawed at her spirit, but Mark's presence felt like an anchor. The more they talked, the more she saw that he understood hard work. She felt safe until whispers about her background turned into a palpable weight. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Sarah's heart sank when she got home that evening. Her small family faced a financial crisis, a ticking clock over her dreams of a better life. A tight chest and tears threatened to spill over as she chased thoughts of sacrificing everything for their security. The laughter from the fundraiser echoed faintly in her mind, dimmed by the reality of her struggles. Mark watched her battle, the look in his eyes revealed an internal storm. As he confronted his elite peers about their prejudice, his voice became a roaring wave against the tide of expectations. The possibilities locked inside Sarah began to unfurl. Could they break through the barriers set by their pasts? Sarah's laughter again danced like sunlight through shadows. As hope and despair intertwined, she clung to the question, could love pierce the darkness of prejudice, or were they both just stories waiting to be shaken apart? The following week, the weight of the fundraiser hung heavily over Sarah's shoulders. Each morning began with her mind racing through rental notices and bills, and evenings cascaded into whispers of dread. Yet, there was a flicker of hope ignited by Mark, a tender light that seemed to cut through the fog of her worries. She hadn't seen him since that fateful night, but his laughter lingered in her thoughts, a beacon through the murky depths she often found herself in. As Sarah worked at the diner, flipping pancakes and pouring coffee, the chatter from regulars became a comfortable routine. But in between the friendly banter and the clinking of plates, there was an undercurrent of uncertainty that gnawed at her. "How long can I keep this up?" she would think while swiping a smeared cloth across the counter. If only she had the courage to reach out to Mark. But the fear of rejection held her back, a fear that roots had planted deep in her heart since childhood. The daydreams about a bright future felt too far away, the fading echoes of laughter from that night were drowned out by a rush of self-doubt. On a gray Saturday afternoon, Sarah decided to take a walk through the park, seeking solace among the familiar green trees and whispering leaves. The sun managed to break through the clouds, casting a golden glow on the vibrant flowers that danced under the gentle breeze. It was precisely in that moment she spotted Mark sitting on a bench, deep in conversation with a group of friends. Her heart lurched, uncertainty tightening like a vice around her chest. She hesitated, ready to turn back to the safety of her solitude when she noticed Mark looking her way. A smile broke across his face, warm and inviting, and she felt the tension unravel slightly. "Sarah, come join us," he exclaimed, gesturing for her to come over. It felt like a lifeline thrown to her amidst turbulent waters. With every step, she could feel the weight of all those judgmental faces from the fundraiser creeping back, but she shook them off one by one. "You can do this," she muttered under her breath, taking a deep breath before seating herself beside Mark. "Glad you could make it." "We were just discussing our favorite childhood memories," he said, his eyes lighting up, a spark of genuine interest making her heart flutter. As they shared stories, Sarah found herself drawn in, the laughter that sprang between them dousing her lingering doubts. That connection, which blossomed unexpectedly during the fundraiser, was reignited. For a moment, she forgot her worries. But just when things felt blissful, another friend chimed in with a pointed remark. "So, Sarah, what do you do when you're not serving tables?" There was a kind of arrogance that slipped through the laughter, one that tightened the air around her, making her feel small once again. Emotions surged inside her, fighting against the urge to retreat into silence. But there was Mark, looking at her, his expression encouraging. "Her work is tough," he defended. "Everything deserves respect." Before Sarah could respond, the weight of her reality came crashing down again. Could she really step forward? Could she fight against this barrier that seemed to rise between her and the shimmering hope Mark offered? As they spoke, Sarah clung to the flickering candle of courage within her. Love was a fire that could warm but also burn. Could she nurture it through the complications that lay ahead? The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and pink as Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. Just as she gathered her thoughts, Mark turned to her, his eyes serious yet sparkling. "I've been thinking we should work on something together. I'd love to hear your ideas." Her breath caught. What did he truly see in her? Suddenly, fear twisted again, but this time, a new question stirred in her mind. Did she dare to uncover what was hidden beneath this promise of a different life? Their surroundings faded into a blur, the bustling park melting away as Sarah locked eyes with Mark. His suggestion felt like a thread drawing her closer to a future she had almost forgotten she longed for. But doubt clawed at her as she searched for the right words. "Together?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark nodded, his smile unwavering. "Yeah. You have great ideas, I can tell. Let us brainstorm for the fundraiser. We can make it something special." Her heart raced, a surge of warmth spreading through her. Perhaps this was her chance. But an insidious voice in the back of her mind threatened to drown her newfound courage. Maybe she wasn't good enough. What if he realized that? What if this moment was just a fleeting whim for him, and she was setting herself up for another disappointment? Why was it so easy for self-doubt to take center stage? Okay. I mean, I have some ideas," she stammered, instantly regretting the hesitation in her tone. Mark's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Great. Let us meet tomorrow. We can get some coffee or something and talk through it all. I really want to hear what you think. It's important to me." His sincerity pierced through the fog of her worries. Maybe he truly saw something in her that she had yet to acknowledge in herself. A flicker of ambition ignited within her, lighting the dark corners where fear resided. "I'd love that," she finally replied, feeling a pulse of excitement. A wave of relief washed over her, chased swiftly by the reality of her situation. Plans for the fundraiser were still looming like a storm cloud, ready to overshadow everything. Her stomach twisted again as she imagined Mark's friend's relentless scrutiny. "So, do you have any ideas?" Mark's voice pulled her back into the moment. Sarah's heart thumped as her mind raced. Could she find a way to merge her dreams with that pressing expectation? The weight of her aspirations battled against the pull of self-doubt, mixing hope with anxiety. "Actually, I was thinking," she began, the confidence seeping into her voice like warm sunrise breaking through dawn. As Sarah shared her thoughts, she felt less like the diner waitress and more like someone with a vision, someone with a voice that mattered. Mark leaned in, engaged and thrilled, as she spoke. Her ideas took shape, and with each one, she felt a part of her heart unwrap, trembling with vulnerability yet newly empowered. The conversation flowed, both of them animated and alive amidst the sun's fading glow. Hours slipped away unnoticed until finally, the air was cooler, and shadows stretched longer. "I really enjoyed this," Mark said, a softness in his tone. "You have so much passion, Sarah. It's inspiring." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, chasing away the last whispers of her insecurity. "Thank you," she murmured, her cheeks warming. Just then, Mark's phone buzzed with a notification. He glanced at it, and his expression shifted slightly. Duty flickered in his eyes, a reminder of responsibilities outside of this moment. "I've got to go," he said reluctantly, rising from the bench. "Of course," she replied, a strange feeling bubbling up inside. The weight of time and circumstance smoothed itself over their shared laughter, but the thought of losing this connection before it fully bloomed gripped her. As they walked towards the park's exit, Sarah hesitated momentarily, her heart urging her to reach for more. "Mark?" He paused, turning back to her, curiosity etching his features. What if we keep doing this? Like, working together, I mean, after the fundraiser. Maybe we could." Before she could finish, a sudden gust of wind rustled the leaves, intensifying the moment. Mark watched her, something unreadable in his gaze. "I'd love that too," he said slowly, a hint of excitement tinged with uncertainty. "We can explore more than just ideas." Sarah's breath caught once more as warmth enveloped her heart. What was he really offering? The connection was there, palpable and electrifying, but shadows loomed large, threatening to snuff it out if she didn't act. "Okay. Then let us do that," she replied, her voice steadier than before. As they approached the edge of the park, parting ways now seemed inevitable. "Tomorrow, then?" Mark said, his smile returning a beacon against the night. "Tomorrow," she promised, her heart racing with the potential of what that could mean. But as she watched him walk away, the questions swirled again. Could she truly embrace this opportunity? What would come next? Would the fear of being vulnerable steal the chance at something more? Those thoughts lingered unresolved, chasing after him, their shadows stretching into tomorrow's unknown. Would she be brave enough to step into the light fully and without fear? Sarah stood frozen at the park's exit, the fading light casting long shadows as her heart raced. Mark was finally out of sight, but his words echoed in her mind. The thrill of the moment lingered like the warmth of the sun's last rays. He believed in her. He wanted to work together. But fear clawed back a whisper that she almost believed. What if she failed? What if she let him down? Taking a deep breath, Sarah turned away from the path that led home and headed toward the coffee shop they had talked about. It was a cozy spot, filled with the smell of freshly brewed coffee and sweet pastries, and it felt like a small sanctuary from her swirling doubts. As she walked through the door, a wave of scented warmth enveloped her, and she allowed herself a moment of solace. She ordered her usual coffee, a caramel latte, and took a seat by the window. Outside, the world continued to bustle while inside, time slowed. A young couple at a nearby table laughed, their faces glowing with the thrill of a new relationship. Sarah's heart felt heavy and light all at once. What would a romance like that look like for her? Would it be with Mark? The thought sent ripples of excitement through her. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her musings. It was a message from Mark. "Hey. Just got home and can't stop thinking about our chat. You really have some amazing ideas. Can't wait to get started tomorrow." She smiled, warmth expanding in her chest. He was genuine. There was something effortless about their connection, but would it be enough to carry them past the fundraiser? The notion of sharing moments in the cafe, of diving into creative discussions made her heart race, yet the ground beneath her felt shaky. She couldn't help but wonder if there was a line between friendship and something deeper. What if he didn't see her that way? What if she fell for him and he didn't feel the same? Her thoughts were interrupted as her phone buzzed again. This time it was a group text from co-workers planning for the fundraiser. The pressure surged. "Remember, we need a final list of ideas ASAP." They were counting on her to pull this off. Why did I say yes? She muttered under her breath, frustration mixing with panic like a bitter brew. Then, a voice broke through her haze. "Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?" Sarah looked up to see a woman in her 30s, her auburn hair dancing in the light. She was holding a steaming cup of coffee, looking for a place to settle. "No, go ahead," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. The woman sat down and introduced herself as Emma. They struck up a conversation, and Sarah found herself laughing, feeling understood in a way she hadn't anticipated. Emma was a local artist, diving into the world of event planning herself. As they spoke, Sarah felt a surge of inspiration from their conversation about creativity and overcoming doubts. "Sometimes, we just need someone to believe in us," Emma said, and that simple statement hung in the air like a truth she had been avoiding. Just then, her phone chimed again, but this time, Sarah didn't look. Instead, she embraced this unexpected connection, the warmth of friendship lighting a path through her uncertainties. What if this was the spark she needed to tackle the challenges ahead? As Emma shared stories of her own struggles and triumphs, Sarah began to see the possibilities unfurling before her. But deep down, questions remained. Would she step out of her comfort zone? Could she allow herself to trust both her ideas and the potential of a relationship with Mark? The moment felt pivotal. Tomorrow promised new challenges and excitement, but for now, among laughter and shared dreams, the shadows of her self-doubt began to recede. As they exchanged numbers, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of momentum. What if this was the beginning of something amazing not just with Mark but within herself? They waved as they parted ways, and Emma called back, "You'll have to share your plans after the fundraiser. You're onto something big, I can feel it." With hope bubbling inside, Sarah thought about the roller coaster awaiting her, ideas flying, emotional stakes rising, and maybe, just maybe, a deeper connection with Mark. But just before she walked out into the night, her phone buzzed one last time. It was a text from Mark. "Thinking about tomorrow, hope you're ready for some brainstorming magic." Her heart raced as anticipation coiled tightly within her. Tomorrow loomed large, full of promise and uncertainty. Could she navigate the waters between ambition and potential romance? The thrill of the unknown gripped her. What awaited her in the morning light? Would she seize the day or let her fears hold her back? The sun broke through the clouds the next morning, bathing Sarah's small apartment in a soft, golden light. She felt a sense of nervous energy buzzing through her like electricity. Today was the day everything could change. As she stood in front of her mirror, she dressed carefully, choosing a soft blue blouse that matched her eyes. A hint of excitement sparked in her heart as she added a splash of lipstick. She grabbed her notebook, a worn yet beloved companion filled with ideas and sketches, and headed out the door. The coffee shop was just a few blocks away, but her thoughts raced, battling between anticipation and what-ifs. Would Mark share her vision? Would he appreciate her ideas? Or would she stumble over her words, unable to present herself as the capable partner she wanted to be? When she arrived, the smell of fresh coffee and pastries welcomed her, and she inhaled deeply, seeking comfort in the familiar atmosphere. She found Mark already sitting at their usual table, a laptop open in front of him, deep in concentration. His brow furrowed and his lips pressed in thought made him look so focused. "Hey!" she called, her voice light. Mark looked up, and his face broke into a warm smile that made her heart skip. "Hey! You look great." His compliment sent a gentle wave of warmth through her. "Thanks. You too. Ready to brainstorm?" "Absolutely. I've been thinking about some of your ideas." He gestured for her to sit and Sarah felt the familiar buzz of excitement blooming inside her. As they dove into discussions, ideas flowed like the coffee they kept pouring. They bounced concepts off each other, laughing occasionally as their energy built. Sarah realized she was more alive than she had felt in weeks. Mark was passionate and engaged, his eyes lit up with every suggestion. Minutes turned into hours, and as Sarah glanced at the time, she felt a pang of surprise and a hint of sadness at how quickly the morning had slipped away. With a few final notes jotted down, she leaned back, feeling the satisfaction of progress made, but also an unsettling flutter in her stomach. "Okay, we've accomplished so much today," Mark said, closing his laptop and leaning forward, excitement twinkling in his eyes. "But there's something else I wanted to ask you about." Her breath caught. "What is it?" He hesitated, his gaze drifting for just a moment. "After the fundraiser, I thought it might be fun to collaborate on a personal project. Something creative, just the two of us." Sarah's heart raced. Could this be what she hoped it was? A chance for them to become more than friends? "I would love that," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. There was a moment of charged silence as they locked eyes, and her pulse quickened. Just when it felt like the air between them was thick with unspoken possibilities, Mark looked away as if reining himself in. "Great. I think we could create something really special." His words were bursting with enthusiasm, but Sarah noticed a subtle tension in his shoulders that made her wonder. Did he feel the same connection she did? As they prepared to leave, the sunlight streaming through the cafe windows made everything outside sparkle. Sarah felt lighter, exhilarated, but still fighting the questions whirling in her mind. Just as they stepped outside, Mark turned to her. "Hey, I really appreciate you taking this leap with me. It means a lot." "Of course," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady, though her heart was pounding. "I can't wait to see what we come up with." But as she walked away, bubbling with energy and ready to embrace the unknown, another thought nagged at her. What if diving into this collaboration meant facing feelings she wasn't sure she was ready to explore? Sarah paused, looking back at Mark laughing with a friend across the street. The exhilaration of their day and her growing feelings were like a riddle she wasn't sure she could solve. Could she allow herself to leap not just into creativity, but into what her heart truly desired? The answers felt tantalizingly close, yet hidden behind a veil of uncertainty. As she turned to head home, she felt the soft breeze against her skin, reminding her that just on the other side of doubt could lie something beautiful. What would she discover about herself in this unfolding partnership? And when would the moment come when she had to confront her feelings head-on? The next few days were a whirlwind for Sarah. Each morning, she would awaken with the sun streaming through her window, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The excitement of the creative project with Mark swirled in her mind like the steam from her morning coffee. She jotted down ideas, filling her notebook with sketches and outlines. Her heart raced at the thought of what they could create together. However, lurking amid her enthusiasm was uncertainty. Each time her phone chimed with a message from Mark, her heart would leap. They exchanged ideas over texts, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their conversations were missing something. There was an undercurrent of tension that made her heart ache. She wanted to dive deep, to strip away the layers of friendly banter and see if they could uncover something real. On the day of the fundraiser, Sarah felt a mix of thrill and dread as she prepared. She wore a fitted black dress that made her feel confident and radiant. She looked in the mirror, half hoping for a sign that today would bring clarity and a plunge into the emotions she battled. The thought of seeing Mark again, so soon, only added to the storm inside her. At the venue, lights twinkled above like stars, casting a soft glow on the gathering. Guests mingled, laughter and chatter filling the air as servers glided through the crowd with trays of hors d'oeuvres. Sarah scanned the room until her eyes landed on Mark, standing near the entrance, looking sharp in his tailored suit. Just seeing him sent warmth flooding through her, a rush of energy she had never felt before. "Hey!" he called out, his smile lighting up his face as he approached her. "Hi!" she responded, her cheeks warming. "You look amazing," he said, looking her up and down as if he marveled at her. "Thanks." "So do you," she said, trying to match his upbeat vibe, but inside, her heart raced with a different feeling, a need to breach the surface of their friendship. As they moved around the venue, talking to guests and enjoying the ambience, Sarah couldn't ignore how her heart reacted to every subtle glance he cast her way. Each laugh felt charged, electric. But the more they talked, the thicker the tension in the air became, and her courage seemed to falter. "Should we grab a drink?" Mark suggested as they took a break from the mingling. The idea sent butterflies through her. "We can go outside, it's quieter there." They stepped into the cool night air, away from the clamor of the crowd. The moment they walked out, a gentle breeze swirled around them, a perfect companion to the moonlight spilling out from the sky. Sarah leaned against the railing as they sipped their drinks, the silence stretching comfortably between them. "Sarah," Mark began, his voice low and earnest. She turned to face him, her heart pounding. "I really enjoyed brainstorming ideas with you. I feel like we clicked in a way I wasn't expecting." Her breath caught. "I felt that too," she whispered, searching his eyes for any clarity. Mark hesitated, taking a deep breath. "There's something I need to tell you," but before he could finish, the loud shriek of a firework exploded in the night sky, lighting up their faces. Everyone outside turned to watch the dazzling display, but Sarah couldn't tear her gaze away from Mark. His face glowed with the reflection of the fireworks, and in that moment, her heart leaped. Their moment could be now. Was this the point where they both discovered something more beneath their casual collaboration? As the last firework faded, she caught a glimmer of hope in Mark's eyes. What was he about to say? And would she have the courage to seize the moment before it flickered away? The silence hung thick in the air after the last firework fizzled out, but the moment felt alive, a lull before a storm. Sarah couldn't help but notice how Mark's eyes seemed to hold a universe of unspoken words. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears, each thump urging her to lean closer, to explore the space between them. "What were you going to say?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The question hung there, suspended in the cool night air. Mark's brow furrowed slightly as he seemed to weigh his words carefully. It was as if he sensed the gravity of the moment. The energy between them crackled, as real as the fireworks that had just lit up the sky. He took a step closer, the space between them diminishing. "I wanted to tell you that." He paused again, eyes searching hers. That flicker of hope pulsed within her. Maybe tonight would be the night they broke through the barriers of their friendship. But as Mark opened his mouth to speak, they were interrupted by a group of rowdy guests coming out to join them. Sarah's heart sank a little. The din of laughter and chatter was the last thing she wanted to hear right now. Mark glanced at the new arrivals, and she could almost see him pull back a bit. The moment felt fragile, slipping through her fingers like sand. She gave a tight smile at the newcomers while her mind raced. They were lost in a sea of maybes and what-ifs, and now Mark was backing away, almost physically. "Hey, what's going on out here?" one of the newcomers shouted, oblivious to the tension that crackled in the air. "Just enjoying the view," Mark replied, the light-heartedness sounding forced. As they chatted about the fireworks and the event, Sarah felt herself retreating inward. The connection she had felt just moments ago was drowning beneath the chatter and superficial interactions. She tried to rein in her disappointment, wanting to join the laughter, but inside, a storm brewed. Finally, the group stepped away, laughing and talking loudly as they headed back inside. Sarah looked at Mark, his expression troubled. "I'm sorry," he breathed, his voice low. "I didn't mean for that to happen." "No, it's okay," she replied, though the tightness in her chest disagreed. "We'll have other chances. We can try again," he offered, but Sarah noticed that the eagerness in his voice felt dimmed by the interruption and the uncertainty that surrounded them. The two of them lingered outside for a moment longer, the quiet settling in again, but the spark that had felt so bright moments before faded. Sarah looked up at the stars, wishing she could pluck one from the sky and toss it into their conversation, lighting it back up again. "Should we head back in?" she suggested, forcing her voice to remain steady. "Yeah, let us go." As they stepped back inside, Sarah realized the truth. They were both navigating this strange tension, the fear of what more meant and the risk of losing what they had. The night continued, filled with laughter and mingling, yet Sarah felt a bittersweet ache. Something big loomed over them as they moved from one conversation to another. The evening wore on, and those silent moments between them grew heavier. What had started as sparks of connection turned into heavy sighs and glances that lingered a beat longer than comfortable. Each smile they exchanged held questions that remained unspoken, forming an invisible barrier neither seemed brave enough to cross. As they walked to their cars, Sarah felt the weight of possibility. She caught Mark's eye for just a moment, and there it was again, the flicker of hope. "See you tomorrow?" he asked, uncertainty dancing in his voice. "Definitely," she replied, holding on to the sliver of hope that their next encounter would bring the breakthrough they both needed. But would it be enough? Would she find the courage to leap into the unknown? And as she drove away, one thought lingered: could the seating at the wrong table be the miracle they both needed to unlock their hearts? The sun hung low on the horizon the next day, casting a warm golden glow over the park where Sarah had agreed to meet Mark. They had decided to take a step away from the noise of the previous night, choosing instead the tranquil setting of leisurely picnic table surrounded by swaying trees. As she arrived, Sarah's heart fluttered nervously. She spotted Mark sitting at a table, leaning back in his chair, looking casual yet thoughtful. His smile lit up when he saw her, and for just a moment, the world around them faded. "Hey there," he said, his voice warm. "Hey," she responded, trying to project confidence despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. "Thanks for meeting me." "Of course. This place is nice, isn't it?" Mark gestured around. The park was alive with laughter from families and the chirping of birds. "It really is." She took a seat opposite him, allowing herself to breathe slowly. They shared small talk, discussing everything from their favorite treats at the local coffee shop to the quirky habits of their friends. Each laugh they exchanged felt like a thread stitching together the loose ends of their connection. But even with the laughter, there was an underlying tension, a readiness to address the uncharted territory in their relationship. Midway through their conversation, Mark's gaze turned serious. "So, about last night?" Her heart quickened. This was the moment. "What about it?" she asked, her voice a mixture of apprehension and hope. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit she noticed. "I feel like we were close to something important." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of those unspoken words hanging between them. "I thought so too. It felt different. Like we were finally getting somewhere." Mark studied her face as if trying to gauge her response. "What did you think I was going to say?" In that moment, Sarah's mind raced. She considered the words that had slipped away before, the ones that could lay everything bare. "I thought maybe you were going to tell me you also felt this spark. That maybe you wanted to explore whatever this is." Mark's eyes widened slightly. "I do." There was a pause, heavy with possibility. Sarah could see in his expression the conflict she felt mirrored in herself. They were standing on the edge of a precipice, the precipice of friendship and something deeper, something that could change both their lives. But what if it doesn't work out? What if we ruin what we have? He asked quietly, his voice laced with uncertainty. Then we have to deal with it together, she responded, her voice stronger than she felt. His gaze softened. Together. I like the sound of that. The corners of her mouth lifted as realization settled in. They were both scared, but they were also on the brink of something extraordinary. As silence enveloped them, it felt both comforting and charged. Let us let go of the what-ifs, she finally said. Let us just see where this leads us. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. The touch sent an electric shock through her, igniting that spark once again. Okay, let us do that. As the sun dipped lower, their world shifted a pivot from apprehension to hopefulness. The weight they had been carrying seemed to lift as they walked in unison toward the unknown. But just as Sarah felt she could finally breathe, her phone buzzed sharply, pulling her away from the moment. She glanced at the screen and saw a message that sent a shiver down her spine. We need to talk. It's important. Her heart sank. Could this change everything? Everything all right? Mark asked, sensing her sudden change in demeanor. Before she could respond, the world around them faded again as a new storm brewed, one that could alter the course of their budding relationship. What could this message mean for them? Sarah's hand trembled slightly as she stared at her phone screen. The dull thud of her heart felt louder now, overshadowing the laughter and chatter of the park. Mark's brow furrowed, concern etched across his face. Is it something bad? He asked gently, sliding closer, a hint of unease in his voice. She wrestled with her thoughts, the promise of the moment fading into uncertainty. I don't know. It's my brother. He just sent this out of the blue. Do you need to go? He asked, though the unspoken fear hung there. What if this was the end of their tentative connection before it even had a chance to bloom? No, I don't want to, she sighed, placing her phone down. The words were still lingering in her mind, but she didn't want anything to ruin what they had just found in each other. Mark's fingers still brushed against hers, warming the ice that had suddenly settled in her stomach. I'm here for you, whatever it is, he reassured her, squeezing her hand slightly. You don't have to deal with it alone. His gentle gaze made her want to confide in him, to let him in. He has been going through some things. I haven't heard from him in a while. It's just unexpected. The corner of Mark's mouth turned down with concern. Do you think he's okay? The question hung between them, heavy and uncertain. I hope so. I wish he would reach out more often. It's like he has shut me out. Let me know if you want to talk about it, Mark offered, his voice softening with understanding. But, for now, let us focus on us. This moment matters too. It was a small reprieve. Their eyes locked in a connection that felt like a promise, tempting her to push past the worry spiraling in her mind. Yet the message continued to claw at her attention, demanding to be addressed. Right, Sarah finally said, forcing a smile, though her heart still felt tangled. How about we grab some ice cream? Maybe that'll help clear my head. Mark's expression shifted as he broke into a grin. Ice cream? Now you're speaking my language. They stood up together, the tension easing slightly as they walked toward the ice cream stand. Warm golden rays danced around them, and for a heartbeat, everything seemed fine again. But ghosts from the past still lurked one text away from shattering her bubble of newfound hope. Strawberry or chocolate? Mark asked as they approached the counter, his enthusiasm infectious. 2 scoops of chocolate, please. She confirmed with a chuckle, as the vendor turned to scoop. As they waited, Mark leaned in a little closer, his breath warm against her ear. You know, only the brave choose chocolate. Sarah laughed softly, feeling lighter around him. She wished she could drown her fears in soft serve. Well, lucky for me, I'm feeling pretty brave today. And if he hesitated, looking at her with seriousness in his eyes. If something's really bothering you, it's okay to say it out loud. I promise I'll listen. The ice cream was finally served, and Mark took a step back, his expression a mix of playful and earnest. Sarah appreciated his willingness, but a lingering weight pulled at her heart. As they took their first bites, she felt a flutter in her chest, a mixture of excitement and dread. They had found intimacy in their conversation, but the shadows of her brother's message echoed relentlessly in her mind. Just then, as Sarah glanced out towards the vibrant scenery, her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a text message, it was a call. Her heart raced. It could be him. Mark, she started, but the buzzing filled the air between them, competing for her attention. Do you want to get that? He asked, eyes flicking to her phone. Maybe I should, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, feeling conflicted. As she swiped to answer, she couldn't shake the thought that this call could change everything, including their tender moment. Hello? She answered, hopeful yet scared. The world around her slowed. Mark stood watching her, a mixture of curiosity and concern in his eyes. In that instant, everything shifted once more as the voice on the other end spoke, chilling her to the core. What would her brother say that would turn her world upside down? Sarah's heart raced, each beat like a drum echoing in her ears. The moment felt suspended in time as the voice on the other end spoke. Anxiety clawed at her stomach, fighting against the warmth of the ice cream melting in her hand. Sarah, it's me, her brother's voice crackled through the phone, a familiar tone but laced with unmistakable weight. I need your help. I messed up. Bad. Fear gripped her, the joyful lightness she just felt with Mark dimming in an instant. What do you mean? Are you okay? She asked, her voice trembling. Mark's eyes widened, concern washing over his features as he inched closer. I'm fine, but things got out of hand with my rent. I can't cover it, and if I don't pay by tomorrow. The words sunk in, heavy and filling her with dread. Her mind raced, what if this burden fell on her shoulders again? She had been fighting to lift herself up, to find her own footing, and now this call threatened to pull her back down into the depths of worry. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked, almost desperately, feeling the need to bridge the growing chasm. I thought I could handle it, he replied, frustration evident. But it's spiraling, Sarah. I need money, now. It's the only way. Tears pricked at her eyes as she glanced at Mark, who was now watching her with clear concern. She felt torn between her brother's crisis and the tentative hope brewing with Mark. I don't know if I can, she stammered, fear twisting through her. Please, I thought I was finally getting my life together. Just help me out this time. I promise I'll pay you back. Okay, she replied, her breath catching in her throat. I'll figure something out. As she hung up, the weight of the world pressed against her chest. The playful warmth of ice cream melted away, replaced by a chilling fear for her brother's future and uncertainty about her own. Mark stepped a fraction closer. What happened? He asked gently, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. Sarah felt that flicker of connection again, but the shadows of concern loomed larger now. It's my brother, she admitted, her voice soft. He's in trouble with his rent. I didn't think it would come to this. I didn't want to be in a position to help again. Mark studied her, taking it all in. Sounds like a lot to handle, he said quietly, his expression full of empathy. Do you want to talk about it? Looking into his eyes, she felt an urge to let him in, to spill her frustrations and fears. But fear of burdening him took over instead. It's complicated, she finally replied. Mark's brow furrowed, and he reached for her, brushing his fingers against her arm. You don't have to go through this alone. I'm here for you, Sarah. No matter what. Tears threatened again as his warmth seeped through her, offering a fragile sense of stability. She wanted to lean on him and share every worry, yet doubt whispered cruelly in her mind. What if they became entangled in each other's lives in ways they couldn't take back? "Thank you," she said, her voice finding strength but wavering at the same time. I don't know if I can juggle this and what we're trying to build here. Building something takes time. We'll figure this out together," he replied, as if those words alone were enough to bridge the uncertainty between them. "What if we take a trip to the bank later? You shouldn't do this alone." Sarah blinked at him, her heart flickering again. He was willing to stand beside her through this storm. A mix of gratitude and hope swelled within her, breaking through some of the heaviness. "You'd really do that?" she asked, feeling both vulnerable and appreciative. "Absolutely. You're worth it. I didn't just want to build a project. I wanted to build trust with you." His words struck a chord deep within her. A simple act of kindness, one that felt genuine, offered a lifeline that wrapped around her heart, reassuring her that she wasn't alone fighting to get to the other side. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "I'd like that. I'd really like that." Together, they finished their ice cream, an understanding stretching wide between them. With every exchange of glances, laughter, and promises shared, the storm raging within her seemed a little more manageable. As they stepped away from the ice cream stand, Sarah felt lighter than she had in days. There was still uncertainty about her brother's situation, but for the first time, she felt the weight of it lessen. She may not know what the future held, but she wasn't navigating it alone. "I'll call my brother once we figure this out," she said, emboldened by Mark's support. "Thank you again for standing by me." "Always," he promised, the sincerity in his tone echoing in her chest. As they walked hand in hand through the park, side by side, she felt ready to face the challenges ahead. Whatever awaited them, fundraiser dreams, family troubles, the uncertainty of feelings, they would navigate it together. That knowledge set her heart aflame, a new chapter unfolding, and with it, the blossoming of everything she had wished for. Now it was time to leap into the unknown and embrace the potential that was waiting just around the corner. And as the sun began to dip lower, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Sarah felt the warmth of possibility surrounding them both. "Let's kick some major ideas around for this fundraiser," she declared brightly, determination rising. Placing a gentle squeeze on Mark's hand, she turned her gaze toward the horizon. "Yes, and let's have fun doing it," he grinned, all his warmth radiating back. They continued walking, laughing and planning as they ventured into this next chapter. It was time to embrace the journey together. Now, this is the moment for you to join in on this journey. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this vibrant community. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. The future holds wonders, let us discover them together.